Good evening, and welcome to tonight's special presentation of the FCS Dynasty, as seen on NCAA in 2006, and also featuring the NCAA Next Mod as well. But this episode is a little bit different from most episodes in the FCS Dynasty series. When we start the regular season, well, we've always started the regular season. We always start out with 109 teams with hopes and aspirations to compete for a national championship. That is the ultimate goal for every student athlete at the FCS level. Tonight, some of those dreams will be closer to being realized, as 24 teams out of 10 conferences of the FCS Dynasty, they will be selected to compete for that ultimate prize that is the national championship. So I hope you're ready for tonight's presentation of the Season 6 FCS Playoff Selection Show. And if so, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button. And also, in addition, if you like sports simulation gaming like I do, as well as enjoy that college football, this is the channel for you. And because of that, I need you to hit that subscribe button if that's the case. Now, for those of you that may be unaware of the FCS playoff system, here is how it works. There are 24 teams that do end up getting the opportunity to play for the FCS playoffs. Among those 24 teams, 8 of them will automatically get a bye in the first round. So the top 8 teams that do get a playoff invitation, they move on to the second round. Then you'll see seeds 9 through 24 obviously play each other over the course of the first round of the FCS playoffs. In addition, and to specifically worded for the NCAA 06 series, there will be 10 automatic bids provided automatically. So if you win your conference in these various conferences around the country, you will automatically get into the playoffs regardless of what your national ranking is. However, there are also 14 other slots in the FCS playoffs, and those slots are given to the best, and I mean the very best teams in the country that did not manage to win their conference. So 10 automatic bids, 14 at-large bids as well. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. I hope this is a proper explanation for you guys. And let's go ahead and check out the top 8 seeds that will automatically get a bye in the first round of the FCS playoffs. So that number 1 seed is belonging to the Southeast Missouri State Redhawks, who did end up finishing the regular season undefeated, and they are also the champions of the Ohio Valley Conference as well. They finished the regular season on a high note, blowing out Youngstown State, so they're playing pretty well, and they are led by their quarterback, Tyler Johnson, who's really having a breakout season, almost 3,000 yards passing already with 26 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions thrown as well. They have a very dynamic running game, and of course, one of the best defenses in the entire country as well. This is certainly one of those teams that has a real legitimate shot of winning the national championship this season. For the number 2 seed, we have the San Diego State Aztecs, who did also finish undefeated on the regular season. They'll be representing the Mountain West, as they are the Mountain West champions, and they got a very good quarterback in Austin Don, who did actually win the Heisman Trophy. Maybe this will finally be the year where the Aztecs win their first national championship here in this series. For the number 3 seed in the FCS playoffs, it is the Eastern Michigan Eagles, who are representing as the champions of the MAC Conference. Now, Eastern Michigan, they only played a couple of ranked games, but they were towards the end of the season. They blew out Central Michigan, and then they also took care of business against Akron as well, proving that they are well deserving of that number 3 seed in this tournament. This Eagles squad, while not the most talented, they're a very disciplined football team who is very capable of making a deep run in this year's playoffs as well. Following the Eastern Michigan Eagles is the number 4 seed in the FCS playoffs, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. Now, the Lumberjacks have started to become a mainstay in the FCS playoffs, making their 3rd appearance of this series. They're led by a trio of Tyrone Wolf and LaMarcus Wilkes as well, very dynamic football players. They also have a big-time defensive guy in Charles Hurst. He's the leading tackler on this team with 72 tackles, and this Northern Arizona team is more than capable of getting some damage done, as they are part of arguably one of the best conferences in the country, part of that Big Sky Conference, who is going to have several FCS playoff representatives as you watch for the remainder of this video. Speaking of teams that are capable of making a deep run though, the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens, they are the champions of the ACC, but this year they did not need a conference championship in order to make the playoffs this year. This time they come in as the number 5 overall seed, doing so by beating James Madison not once, oh no, they beat them twice, once in the regular season and once in the playoffs. So while the ACC is not the best conference in the face of the planet, they are more than capable of coming out there and really making some noise in this playoffs. They're led by Brian Ramsey, who's one of your guys' customs, who's having a very good season as the first-year starter for the Delaware Fighting Blue Hens at that quarterback position. They also have Paris McPherson, who was also in the Heisman race, running for nearly 1,500 yards on the year. For the number 6 seed is a team that is actually making their very first FCS playoff appearance. It's the Northwestern State Demons. They've been very close in the past, but they finally get over the hump, getting there by beating Texas State in the conference championship game, 42-17. So not only are they making their first FCS playoff appearance, they don't even have to worry about a first-round game, and they have a dynamic backfield as well, led by Jeremiah Hoodie, their quarterback, who has 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and then Bo Arias, who's a senior, and while he only has a few rushing touchdowns, we've known from his past experiences that he can break a game wide but naked open at any given moment. At number 7, we have the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks, who do get the number 7 seed. Unfortunately, though, they are going to be without their starting quarterback, Henry Paris, as a true freshman, had a good season, 2,100 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He is hurt for the entire season, so maybe this is one of those teams that do get bounced earlier than expected, but that doesn't change the fact that the Skyhawks, they have had a wonderful season so far at 9-2, 6-2 in the Ohio Valley Conference as well, and this is still a good football team that doesn't beat itself very often. And finally, the number 8 seed and the final bye being awarded into the second round is going to go to the Western Carolina Catamounts, who are your defending national champions. They had to sneak in courtesy of a last-second victory over the Grambling State Tigers. We'll see where Grambling State ends up, but the Catamounts, they are the number 8 overall seed. They have very good players, including Willie Beeman Jr., who's an absolute gunslinger. And on the defensive end, they also have Kevin McRoyal, who leads this team in sacks. He's leaning in on nearly double-digit sacks. Could very well get there by the time Western Carolina is done with defending its national championship title. So far, we have actually witnessed the top 8 seeds in this FCS tournament being revealed, and those 8 teams that you just now saw fly on your screen, they will be moving on automatically to the second round. But this does leave the question, there's still 16 more teams left. Who are they, and what are those playoff matchups? What are they going to be looking like? So, like I said, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button, because it does help spread this video to other college football fans. And without further ado, let's go ahead and see the 8 first-round matchups that we'll see here in season number 6 of the FCS Dynasty. So this will be the first playoff matchup that you'll see on the channel. It is the Yale Bulldogs, who get the number 17 seed. They will be taking on the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, who will have that number 16 seed. Now, the Yale Bulldogs, they are having truly an excellent season. Ivy League champions, they make their second playoff appearance because of that. Doing so as the highest ranked team ever from the Ivy League, getting that number 17 seed, so they knew would get to host a home game. However, this Eastern Kentucky squad, that's number 16, yes, they did lose 4 games this year, but they finished the season on a 4-game winning streak. They have really played their way into this opportunity, and this Eastern Kentucky squad, they're coming in red hot as of right now, and it's going to give Yale plenty of trouble in this game, but still, A great season by the Yale Bulldogs, who definitely have earned this opportunity. After that, we have the Tulane Green Wave, who are the lowest seed in this tournament. They are here because they won the Conference USA Championship game over the Richmond Spiders. They get the pleasure of taking on the number 9 overall seeded James Madison Dukes. Now, James Madison, they did not get a top 8 seed. They are not a first round bye squad. And that door was shut down on them because they could not beat Delaware in the ACC Championship. However, this James Madison squad is filled with talent, and there was any teams out there that could make a deep run in the FCS playoffs from here, James Madison is definitely a team to look at that overall is going to give plenty of teams a lot of trouble. Going back to the ranks of the top 25, we have San Jose State, who's actually making their first FCS playoff appearance. They do so by winning the WAC and coming in on a 9-game winning streak. They are taking on the Montana Grizzlies, who do come in as the number 13 overall seed, and they are the second team out of the Big Sky to be nominated for the FCS playoffs. Now, this could have the big potential of being a very close game, could go either way, because even though Montana, they may be the better team on paper, San Jose State and that 9-game winning streak, they definitely have the hot streak going, and teams that are hot tend to do well in these type of single elimination formats, so definitely a game to watch out for. Speaking of the Big Sky Conference, they do get another team in, courtesy of the Portland State Vikings, who do come in as the number 12 overall seed. Should be another competitive game to watch out for, though, as they will be taking on the number 21 seeded Chattanooga Mocs, who come from that FCS version of the Big 12 Conference. It's the Big 12 second team that does manage to get in, and Chattanooga, both very similar teams, both B+ overall squads, very similar on paper. This is also a game that could swing in either direction. And the fertility of the FCS playoff bids does continue for the Big Sky Conference. They'll have number 15 seeded Sacramento State get in as well, also a team that finished 8-3 overall. They will be taking on the number 18 seeded Akron Zips, who actually was fighting for a bid into the second round. Could not pull it off against Eastern Michigan. Still a very good football team, though, at 9-3 overall. So, surprise, Akron fell to number 18, but that's what the committee decided to roll with. Not a lot of respect for the MAC Conference. We'll see if the committee can be proven wrong, depending on how Akron and also Eastern Michigan can do. Should also be a competitive playoff game that we'll witness in the first round. But the Big Sky can boast that they got 5 teams into the playoffs this year, as the Bison will be the 5th team from such conference to receive an FCS playoff invitation. They come in as the number 10 overall seed and champions of the Big Sky Conference. Meanwhile, they will be taking on the Grambling State Tigers, who were sweating it out here on Selection Sunday as they were just the number 23 seed. Matter of fact, they were the last at-large team to get into the FCS playoffs. So if there was any more bid stealers out there, Grambling State would not be in here. So congratulations to Grambling State. Even though they will be a heavy underdog in this first round, they do make their first FCS playoff appearance in this series. Speaking of conferences with multiple bids, the Mountain West can say that they got 2 teams in, as UNLV actually had a great season with a number 14 overall ranking, but they get a bad break in the playoff bracket as they take on the New Hampshire Wildcats, who are coming in losing their last couple of games and not really respecting the ACC either. That just goes to show the strength of the conference outside of New Hampshire, James Madison, and also Delaware. Make no mistake though, New Hampshire is a very good football team who also has the capability of making a deep run in this year's playoffs. UNLV will have to bring their A game if they have any chance of taking care of the New Hampshire Wildcats in the first round of the FCS playoffs. This is the 14 against 19 matchup. And the last 2 teams that will be revealed for the FCS playoff bracket is the number 22 ranked Nicholls State Colonels They'll be taking on the number 11 seeded Georgia Southern Bulldogs. They are back in the playoffs after missing out on year 5, but they did win the national championship back in year number 4. And not only are these two teams that happen to be in the same conference, but we actually seen this matchup play out before. Nicholls State went out on the road against Georgia Southern back in week number 5, and the Colonels blew out Georgia Southern, so it is hard to beat the same team twice. Can Georgia Southern get their revenge, or will Nicholls State win 2 games in a row against the former national champions from year number 4? That'll be a big burning question for the final matchup of the first round of the FCS playoffs. So now that we have all of the first round playoff matchups officially revealed, we can now say that we have 24 teams ready to compete for the national championship, and this is what the playoff bracket will be going to be looking like here in year number 6. Now, there will not be a playoff bracket challenge this season because I am in the process of wanting this series down because we have some bigger and better things planned down the line. But that being said, though, let me know down in the comments who you guys think will win the national championship this year, and also let me know some other surprises or disappointments that you see in this FCS playoff field this year, whether it be teams that should have got in, or maybe teams that are seeded too high or too low, or even who you predict who's going to make a big run in the first round, or who will be a team that will be knocked out earlier in the tournament than maybe was anticipated according to their seeding. But with this 24-team playoff selection field officially selected, we now go to see who was on that bubble, who came up just short, and man, was it a really close call. Grambling State actually was the last team to get in. They got in as the number 23 overall seed in this tournament. Like I said, they are the final at-large team that managed to get in as well. And that win that Northwestern State had against Texas State in the not the Big 12, but the SEC championship, that was really the difference maker. If Texas State would have won that game, that bid would have gone to the Texas State Bobcats, and Grambling State would have been at home. So Grambling State, a little bit of lady luck on their side, could not finish things out against the Catamounts, but still get a chance to play in the FCS playoffs. Now, there were a couple of teams that did fall just a little bit short though, but for the most part, I really like how this field shook out this year. Not a lot of bid stealers that we've seen as we have happened in the past. Eastern Illinois, they are the number 24 ranked team in the nation, but not part of that 24 team field. They finished 7-4 overall. Solid conference record, but when it comes to what Grambling State did versus what Eastern Illinois did, Grambling State's resume was just a little bit better. They looked better in their top 25 matchups than what Eastern Illinois got. So because of that tougher schedule, Grambling State did get in over Eastern Illinois. And then another team that was also close as well is the New Mexico State Aggies. Really good season, 9-2 overall, 6-2 conference record. Did not win their conference bid though. The WAC conference, they were shut out by San Jose State. San Jose State, the only team from this conference getting in. Just a harder time to get into this conference or into this tournament if you are from a smaller conference. And unfortunately, New Mexico State, they lost both of their games late in the season. That tilted against them in their favor. And it looks like the Aggies will be setting this one out as they'll be watching from home this year. But guys, that will wrap things up here for the Season 6 FCS Playoff Selection Show. We have had the 24 teams revealed here in this FCS Dynasty, competing for that national championship. Now, since I did mention in community tabs as well as at the beginning of the season that I am moving a little bit faster so that we can see your custom guys cycle through that, and then we also have some big things planned in the future. I will be showing the playoffs in one episode. Yes, you did hear me correctly. The entire playoffs will be shown in one action-packed episode. So you guys aren't going to want to miss it, as we will crown a champion in the next episode of season number 6. Hope you guys are excited for it, and if you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. This is John J Gaming on the mic signing off. Hoping you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.